I believe we're good to go. I think. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Darian Talks UTSA. It's good to be back. Took a week off last week just to get some things ironed out, and I had some family coming into town, so I had to take a week off. But we are back full stretch, like I said, every Wednesday, unless I have like some kind of weird thing. But I'll be letting you guys know. But we are back. We're full throttle. Spring ball starts next week. I'm a little upset and I'm a little bummed out, right? I won't be seeing you guys at a spring game at the end of April, but that's neither here nor there. There's lots of topics to talk about. We got UTSA signing a 4-star receiver, according to 24/7 Sports. That's huge. He's a late signing. I think his name is Lazelle Shepard Jr. So really excited about him. I watched the tape on him, and when I say he's a supreme athlete, I think he's going to have a shot to play the second he steps on a day UTSA field. He has that type of big time player, sort of feel to him, right? Based on what I've seen on the tape in high school. So we'll see how that translates to college. So we'll talk a little bit about that. I posted a tweet last week about the AAC quarterback situation, and that I think McCown has sort of a stake. I don't want to say surprisingly, but he sort of has a stake and a claim in terms of being the best sort of returning quarterback stepping onto that field from an AAC standpoint, from a conference standpoint. So we're going to talk a little bit about that because it riled up some of our rival conference peers in the comments. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. We're going to also talk about some of the new stuff on NIL, some of the stuff we're going with the show. I made an announcement earlier today. I'll touch on that briefly in regards to what I'm doing to do my best to lead in general. This whole NIL thing. We talk on this channel a lot about NIL, supporting and things like that. And I think I can do a job in that as well, and helping that out and trying to spring things forward. And my ask is my ask is to get to a certain amount of Twitter followers at a particular point in time, and I'll donate $1 for everyone. And my goal is to get, I think it's 1,220 followers. But by April 26th, and I'm going to donate that to a defensive back. But I'll get more into that later. But yeah, I put out a tweet earlier today, and I said I wanted to start the show off with something that you guys, picked and selected from my tweet earlier today. So right now I'm going to pull that up before I thank you guys for filling up the comments. It's nice to have some comments in there as soon as the show starts, but let me go into some of the questions from Twitter that I want to get into. And there's a lot of questions here, or there's a few questions. I'll go with the question with the most likes and replies. This came from Sidelines UTSA, or SSN UTSA. Their question was, does conference play matter more? Hold on, I'm sorry. Does conference play matters more mentality feed the penalty issues lasting until October? Is giving up to save players versus P4 teams the root cause for players' issues with durability? The sitting players in the third versus P4 to save a conference play hurt the brand and NIL. So basically his question is, should we worry more about conference play than prioritizing some of those P5 games? And honestly, I think every game matters, because obviously we want to try to throw ourselves in that hat to be one of the Cinderella teams, right? And you do that by having to go toe to toe with some of the big dogs. And I don't necessarily, just because you play against those teams don't mean you're going to go out there and get hurt, right? You're not going to have people get injured just because we're playing against a powerful P4 team. But you got to prioritize those games, because if you win them, that helps brings in recruits. If you win them, that boosts the notoriety of UTSA. It puts us on the map. It gets people to start watching. Look at what happened with UTSA baseball last night and their victory over the UT Longhorns, right? I mean, you look at the Twitter post, and and I'm a numbers guy, so I look at a lot of the numbers on Twitter from um, like the statistics and analytics, and you look at that the pin post. If you go look at the pin post from UTSA baseball, and they have our rowdy runner with the birds up, riding the Longhorn, showing that we beat UT, and then the UT logo is horns down. That got 12,000 likes, over 888,000 views across Twitter. That's huge. That right there is why you play those players. You play your best players, against these bigger teams. People were talking about, oh, we used a couple of our starters and our best pitchers to drive us through that game, and that's going to hurt us later on. So what? You don't get 800. Find me another tweet. I bet that's UTSA baseball's highest performing tweet to this day. You think that's not going to attract people? You think that's not going to attract recruits? And things like that. So those types of things are important. And yeah, you don't. I think you prioritize every game, and I think a coach goes out there and tries to win every game. And I don't think you start sitting starters in the third quarter because you going into the game with a mentality that you're going to lose these games anyway. It doesn't really work like that in practice. Cool. Yeah. So I wanted the first topic of the day to come directly from Twitter, and that's what we did. I may come back and revisit these. Revisit some of the ones in Twitter, but I want to interact with you guys who are here right now. So let's get some of your questions up. The first one, wait, no. Mike was first. Sorry, Mike. Shout out to Mike. Mike says, what can UTSA do to reduce the amount of penalties? Last season, we led the conference in penalties per game. Yeah, that's a great question. And that's a question that some of it's going to come with experience. We did, especially on the offensive side of the ball, have a lot of young guys out there. And just young guys and newer guys, and maybe not necessarily as many established vocal leaders that this team has had in the past, and that's going to hold these guys accountable immediately whenever they make these kind of mistakes. And I think once you sort of have a new group and a new crop of people coming in to sort of fill those gaps that we had, or that we have, because some of these more veteran guys have left the program, it's probably going to take a season or two for the loud voices to show up back in that locker room and make sure to get people locked and loaded and ready to go. I think obviously Coach Traylor is probably going to emphasize not shooting ourselves in the foot in the offseason, in camp, and things like that. And they're probably going to do a lot of discipline drills that's going to make sure they don't make these mistakes. The punishments and stuff like that are probably going to be a little bit more severe when they do make these mistakes in practice, in camp. There's going to be a lot of guys running, a lot of do-overs and things like that to make sure they weed a lot of that stuff out. And then what you're probably going to see is guys who are repeat offenders, who are continuously making these errors and getting flags and things like that. With some of the recruits that we brought in, you're not going to have room to do that because you won't play. And I think that's another piece of it too that's really important. If you continue to make these mistakes and get these penalties and these flags, you got to be worried about your job, and that's healthy competition, right? You can't hurt the team over and over and over again and then still roll out there with the ones and continue to play. You got to put people on the field that's not going to make those mistakes and give up first downs because they're making bonehead decisions on the field. And we've seen some of that throughout the year. So I think the one of the key things that UTSA is going to do, I would imagine this offseason, is just a lot of discipline drills, a lot of reps, just reps. And I think some of that experience will help as well. All right. Batfoy says, is anyone else worried about the lack of protection for our quarterback? Listen, I think let's give the offensive line a little bit of credit. They started to play a lot better in the second half of the season. And I think we just have to give them credit for that, right? They started to play a little bit better. And So so I think we just got to be patient with them. Trust me, our coaches, our coaching staff, everyone knows that the games are won and lost in the trenches. I'd be very, very shocked if Coach Traylor is ignoring that going into the season. So I have confidence that the team and the coaches and the folks who are around the program are going to address that position. Coach Traylor, being a offensive minded guy, being an offensive minded coach who has come in and invigorated a style of play at UTSA that is attractive to watch and that puts fans in the seats as well. And it also gives us opportunities to let our players express themselves, and you cannot do that without an offensive line and without protection for our quarterback. So I'm just confident because of the importance of that position and the importance of what that means for our team and the success of our team. I am confident that Coach Traylor and team will shear that position up and make sure that our quarterback is going to be protected. I got faith in him that he'll do that. Max says not football relevant, but man, it felt awesome beating UT in baseball yesterday. Yeah, and that's exactly what I mean, right? Like when you think about those monumental moments in a program like ours, sort of arc, it's huge. That's a huge thing. Going in and beat a team like UT, who we're the little brother of them, and things like that, and they're maybe the most recognizable college football program or college program from a sports standpoint, the most recognizable in the country. And we went in there and beat them fair and square in a nice game. That's what I mean. These are huge opportunities for teams like us whenever we get an opportunity to play those type of teams, no matter what sport it is. And I think you got to sell out to win those games because it can do a lot for your program. It can do a lot for the confidence of the players you have in your locker room. And yeah, it can do a lot for the energy around the program in the school. You'll be surprised that when people are feeling really, not even surprised, when people are feeling really good and confident about their program, people will start to open up their pocketbook a little more. You know what I mean? Like, I think about this. Think about how everybody last week or a week or so ago, a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, everybody was on the bandwagon of the UTSA women's basketball team and the success they had. Obviously, it sucks that they didn't perform or didn't close the show in the postseason. But look at the momentum that Coach Karen and that team created, man. I think that type of thing is dope. And then you have that, and then you roll into UTSA baseball doing something like this. It just brings about a good feeling around the program. And the thing that sucks about that is that we're not going to have a spring game to capitalize on this momentum here in a couple of weeks, man. That really sucks. That really sucks. I am really hoping that they do something to give fans some sort of view of what the team can look like, give folks an opportunity to come and watch the guys practice or something like that. That'll be huge if they do something like that. But anyway, I know your question was more so about the baseball team, and that sort of thing there. But yeah, man, it's going to be huge, or that was a huge thing. Okay, just wanted to add that banner there as we go into some of the next one. Let's see. Next question here. This is from Max as well. He says, no spring game also sucks. It's a shame. He says, shame it's what college football has come to, poaching talent and offering NIL deals left and right. It's a great way to promote, and it's also doing fiesta so tons of people. I think that's a great point. It kind of goes back to what I was saying just a while ago about, it really does suck not having a spring game. I hope they do something that'll give folks an opportunity to interact with the players or just see something, right? Like, even what would be nice, like if there was even if they show how, I mean, I'm sure they'll do this to a degree, but like show highlights of the scrimmage, give us something, like highlights of the scrimmage would be fine, right? I mean, I don't know how many offers from other schools would come in if they showed highlights from the scrimmage. You know what I'm saying? Like, what do y'all let me know in the chat what y'all think about that idea. If UTSA had scrimmages and they basically did like a highlight reel or package, and they released like, I don't know, a 5-6 minute video out there, sort of showing how the spring went and showing certain things. But and the thing too is like they also get to select what they show. They get to select what they promote. So if they want to keep a guy under wraps or something like that, we'll take him out the take him take him out the video, or only show some of the simple plays that you made or something like that. Like there's ways around what they can do, but like give us some sort of sneak peek of like what's to come for the next season. Would love to hear what you guys think about that, but that's something that I've been thinking about. Like, why don't they try something like that to give us something? Give us something. I know they want to keep things on the wraps, but my goodness, like it's a difficult thing. It's difficult. While we have folks here, I did want to talk about a little bit more about my donation to UTSA DBs. So just to give you guys some, I'm sort of giving it a plug here. I have about, or when I put the tweet out, I had about 1,780 followers. Right now, my commitment is it's going to be through the spring. If we can get to 3,000 followers, that's the goal. But for every dollar, I'm going to contribute that to a NIL fund for one of the DBs. I'm still trying to figure out like which DB to pick from and that sort of thing. I may reach out to the coaching staff or may reach out to some of the folks close to the program to iron that out. But that's something I'm going to do. The way to do this is to go follow my Twitter at Darian_UTSA. And tell a friend to follow them. Anybody that support UTSA and that would like some content and things like that, their follow is going to contribute $1 to that. So to that effort. So like I said, I have $1,220 that'll go to a DB committed to it. And if we get more, if we go above that, I'll match that too up to a certain amount. But yeah, that's the goal. It's sort of a steep goal, but that's sort of what I want to do. Like I said, I want to try to lead to the extent that I can on that thing. But and it would be great if you guys could get that tweet and repost it on your Twitters and things like that, because I'm sure we all follow UTSA accounts and are friends of UTSA accounts and supporters. So yeah, get that and amplify that as much as we can so we can get one of our DBs an NIL deal, which would be cool for him. All right, let's see. It's Rap. Shout out to It's Rap. He says beating Texas A&M will provide the marketing and NIL bump from the city that UTSA needs. Therefore, it is more important to beat Texas A&M than saving players. Yeah, excellent point here. This is exactly wow. Did he know this already? Because I think you asked this before I talked about it here. I mean, I wasn't even live when you made this point here. Yeah, it's exactly what I was saying. I mean, that's spot on. It's Rab. I think that's exactly the point I was talking about. The feeling around a program whenever you go in and beat a school like that, have an upset is huge. And from a marketing standpoint, like I said, you go to that UTSA baseball, them beating the Longhorns, that has their tweets with Rowdy on top of their Longhorn, has 12,000 likes and over 888,000 views. Just imagine if UTSA went in and beat the Aggies or something like that on the football field, how viral that would go. That is just that type of marketing you can't buy, and if you do buy it, you're going to spend a lot of money. You can't buy, and it's going to take time. That happened, boom, they beat them that night, and boom, that happened. It hasn't even been 24 hours yet. That's going to hit. I guarantee you that hits more than 1 million. We'll wake up tomorrow to hit more than 1 million views by tomorrow. Crazy, right? Crazy, but good point. Shout out to Kermit. I want to shout Kermit out here because I'm going to talk about the UTSA QBs, and Kermit definitely helped out with getting me some statistics on some of that. So shout out to my man Kermit here. But his question is, what do you think of Deion Sanders saying he wants to practice with another school, NFL style, for the spring game? Syracuse and other schools have already extended an offer to do it. Dude, I think it's an excellent idea. I think it's an excellent idea. Now, you got to be careful because, in my opinion, you have to probably put something in place for that transfer window, at least that particular transfer window, at least the nearest window, that they can't, like, kids can't leave the portal and go to that school that they practice against. That's the only tricky part. And that's why people aren't doing spring games, right? To avoid this type of situation. So obviously, if Dion did a practice with some of these schools, you would expect him to see one or two players on that team. He's like, you know what? They need to come on over here to Colorado. You'd have to put something in place, some sort of agreement in place in legal writing or something like that to prevent that sort of thing from happening. But I think that type of thing is a great idea. Teams should do more of that. They should do more of that, right? They should do more of that. 100%. Give your and to me, it's valuable experience for young guys, man. They're coming out there, they're going to play at college speed level, and they're doing it the spring before the actual season. That's huge. Man, I would love something like that because when you're in spring practice, right? You're going to be practicing against your teammates the entire time. You're going to learn their tendencies. You're going to know what they like to do. You're going to be going up against the same guys over and over again. And at some point, like, things aren't surprising anymore. So, not that you are going to be more relaxed. I mean, no, there is going to be a relaxed sort of feel because, hey, I know what this guy's tendencies are. I know how he's this. I know how he's that. Versus you go in there against a different team, the competition is going to be a little bit higher. You're not going to be familiar with the opponents and things like that. To me, that's a huge advantage to get someone playing up to the college speed level a lot quicker and accelerate that process. I'm going to tell you why Dion is doing it. He's got a new quarterback coming out of high school, 5-star. He wants that kid to feel the heat, feel that heat against an opposing college team earlier, sooner than later. You don't want that first time that kid is, in the midst of it with the bullets flying across from him. You don't want that to be week one, of the college football season. He'd rather do that in the spring. And I think it's a big time deal. And I would love to see UTSA and just schools start to open it up for those types of engagements in general. But with the way NIL is, I don't know if schools will even be allowed to or even would agree to, like, hey, well, if we do this, don't post my players type deal. I don't know if that's okay or not, but they'd have to solve for that before it actually happens. Hey, shout out to Carol. Still a member. Appreciate Carol there. Hello. Max says, really curious. He says, really curious to see the wide receiver battles this season and who may overpass some vets we already have. Not to mention we need a new kick/punt returner. So curious to see who that'll be. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. 100%. I got a feeling the kick returner is probably going to be Will Henderson, as fast as he is, if I had to guess. But yeah, the wide receiver battle is going to be crazy. Obviously, we got the new 4-star kid. We got AJ Wilson coming over from HCU, who I thought was really good. We got Jalen. What's his name? I'm drawing a blank on the kid we got from Michigan State, who I think is really, really, really going to be a prominent player as well for UTSA. I'm really excited about that receiver. Dude, our receiver room is going to be crazy. There's going to be guys who have sort of been slotted in to be sort of main contributors at that receiver position who just won't be next year. That's a real reality. We got some real talent out there. So some of the guys who we seen last year, with the exception of Amador, I think Amador is going to be at the center of pretty much everything. But yeah, I think every other position outside of his is going to be up for grabs, bro. It's going to be up for grabs. I don't know who's going to come out of that one. There's a lot of talent in that receiver room. Owen McCown is going to have plenty of targets to throw to. and we got guys that's going to be able to move after the catch. We got guys with speed who can go up and get contested catches and things like that. It is going to be heat. We're going to be rolling guys in and out, and I cannot wait to see who comes out of that. And I don't care who comes out of it, right? I just want success. I want us to continue to raise our level and really set the tone for what UTSA football is about. And I think our wide receiver room, at least on paper, is going to be able to compete with anybody in the conference. So I'm really excited to see what those guys are going to produce. Do you see the 4-star wide receiver starting this upcoming year? I don't know about starting outright, but he will most certainly be in the rotation. He will most certainly be in the rotation, and he could by the end of the year, as the year goes on, become a starter if he's making the plays. If he's making plays and doing things the right way. Yeah, you'll certainly see him play. There's no doubt in my mind. There's no doubt in my mind. I think you got the same question. Do I see him making an impact? It's hard to say about if he'll make a significant impact, just because you got to see how the season goes. You got to see how other guys are playing and those sorts of things. So some of that stuff is kind of hard to see. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. One of the things I want to chat about really quick is, so I know I chatted a little bit about UTSA having a new NIL GM. I have talked with him a little bit. I'm trying to get him to come on the show. He does not want to come on yet. He wants to settle in his role a little bit before. He want to settle in his role some before he comes on and speaks on anything, which I understand that. I do think. Think he was talking. I think he put out there. I think he said like later this year, which probably means after the season. But you never know when it'll be. Let me see what he said. He said later in the year. Yeah, it's probably like end of season, because I wouldn't imagine that he would do it during the season, considering that he's probably going to be super busy at that time. That's interesting. I think here's my thing with that. And it's not that I disagree with it, or I don't actually, it doesn't matter if he comes on my show or someone else's. I want to know what sort of plan, what's the plan? What's the plan? How can UTSA supporters as a community help his effort out? That's more so what I'm looking at. I think that's an important thing to establish, because people do want to help and people do want to know what's going on. And we've heard so much about Playfly, right? But we haven't actually seen what's going on. Like, I understand you're not going to peel back the curtain and let everyone know how the sausage is made, but at the same time, people are really antsy. I get DMs and I talk to people around the program all the time, and people are asking like, "Hey, what do you know about this guy?" and this sort of thing. Obviously, I was talking about, I knew what Glasgow's plans were if he would have been able to get that position. But yeah, it'll be good to hear what his plans are and things like that. I'm going to still continue to try to foster that relationship and see if we can get him on a show at some point. But yeah, I'm going to do everything I can. I actually have talked to someone else from Playfly as well, who's managing some of the corporate sponsorships sites and things like that. They did assure me that they will let me know, like, whenever we've secured some of these corporate sponsorships and things like that. You never know how that's actually going to happen, if that's going to happen. But I am trying to get us as much information as possible so we can contribute to the overall goal. So bear with me on some of that stuff. I'm going to try to get some more folks on here. I am also working on having there's a receiver that I think he's a receiver. I forget what position he plays. But there's a pretty big recruit that UTSA has an offer out on. I'm going to have him. I'm trying to set up and have him, bring him on the show to see if we can pick his brain, see as a player what he can bring to the Road Runners. He's obviously not committed or anything like that, and I'm going to definitely, whenever that does happen, I'm going to ask every one of you guys to show up at that particular time on that one, so we can persuade him to come to UTSA, because He's a pretty big time recruit, and I think having him on the show, letting him know how supportive the UTSA fan base is, will be huge. So I'll keep you guys posted on that. Probably in the next couple of weeks, we'll try to work something out on that piece. Cool. Let me get back to some of the questions. Batfoy says those UTSA baseball tweet likes are probably from TAMU also. Great. The more the merrier. The more the merrier. Great. I like that. Browntown says, what non-conference teams would you want UTSA to play more to help with recruiting? Well, to me, U of H is a big one for me. It's the one that comes to mind all the time because U of H is in a bigger position than we are. But think about that time period where we were beating U of H. I remember when we beat U of H in 2014, and I can remember, I think we were like for that next year or two, we were flipping recruits who were supposed to go to U of H and come here. Like U of H generally probably gets a higher on the from a recruiting star standpoint. U of H probably best UTSA in that, but U of H is there's a lot of guys that have UTSA offers and U of H offers, and I think when you look at us trying to like take steps forward, I think U of H is always a good one to have on the docket. Obviously, Texas State is a huge one because of the rivalry. Those games are always going to be big, and there's just going to be noise everywhere. They're a big one as well. And then one of the big time schools. It's never good to get smoked against some of these schools, but I'd say A&M because we have played them better than we've played UT. In terms of like the games are more competitive. So I think us competing with a team like that in that way is good. It's good. So yeah, those are probably the three schools that I'll go with there. Batfoy says, any word on that Stanford transfer last year? He was a safety. I know he graduated from Stanford, but did he apply for medical redshirt or is his career over? Stanford, are you talking about what is his name? I think that's the kid that I took a picture with and sat at the table with at the banquet last year. UTSA. Jimmy Warwick, I think is his name. Are you I think you're referring to Jimmy Warwick. Is his career over? I don't. Why would his career? Did he get? Did I miss something on him? Yeah, let me know in the comments if I missed something on him. Yeah, I'll have to come back to that one. John says, hopefully Playfly does something good for this. I think they're well intentioned, obviously. I think they are operating in a space where they need to create value because everything is so new. Right? Like this entire it's almost like a gold rush, right? With NIL. Everybody's running to the money, everybody's trying to find an angle. I can't tell you how many coaches I've talked to, former coaches from UTSA who are no longer at the program, have called me asking my advice on any types of ways to make money in the NIL space. You'll just be surprised at how many people are trying to find their footing in that. And I think Playfly, what they bring to the table and what they're doing for schools, I think can be beneficial. I know there is folks out there who would prefer these types of things to be done in-house instead of by a third-party company. But I think if they can come in and do a good job, I can care less. From what I know, they did their due diligence in terms of bringing in someone that they felt good about that can help the program make contributions to UTSA and obviously be a voice, right? I mean, I've followed Jordan Pelt, who's the NIL GM for UTSA through Playfly. I followed him on Twitter, and he's tweeting up a storm now, trying to get his name out there. So yeah, I think I hope they do well. And if they don't, they're going to hear a lot of noise from a lot of people. I am certainly not going to let them slide on some of that stuff. And it's because, right, like the NIL piece is such a big. All right, I think I'm good now. Can you guys hear me? Let's make sure. Okay. Yeah, I should be good. Yeah, I accidentally hit the mute button with my foot down here. But yeah, I think Play Fly do well. I think they'll do well. I'm hoping that they deliver for us because we need it. We need it bad. Let's see, Coach Prime style scrimmage in the near future. UTSA versus the new. Ooh, that'll be a good one. UTSA versus the new Yeah, Travis Bush program, UT. What is it? Rio Grande Valley or something like that. Yeah, that'll be a good. That's a great suggestion there, Mike. 100%. I'm all for that. I'm all for that. That would be great. That'd be great. Yes, man. That would be dope. I like that idea there. Yeah, we should like spam Twitter with that. You know, um, that'd be huge, bro. That'd be huge. I like that a lot, dude. I truly do. Um, One other thing I want to talk about is I want to pose this question to you guys in the chat. So for those of you guys who are listening, I would love to get your thoughts on this. I wish I could put a poll in here. Gosh, this is what I need a moderator for. But here's sort of my question to y'all. I've been doing some research and I've been thinking a lot about, and that's why I posted the tweet last week about Owen McCown and how when he steps into the season, is he going to be sort of the default quarterback to watch or dark horse quarterback or best quarterback in the conference, considering all the guys who left. Bryson Daly's no longer at Army. Seth Hennigan is no longer the quarterback at Memphis, right? Tulane's coming in with a new quarterback. A lot of the guys who have been EJ Warner for Rice, he's no longer there. I think he's up in Virginia now. So all of these, there's been a lot of turnover at the quarterback position at some of these schools that have had long-reigning quarterbacks. You think about Chandler Morris up in North Texas, he's not going to be there next year. When you think about returning quarterbacks in the AAC, is Owen McCown the best? Is like stepping in as like the best quarterback in the conference? Not necessarily by because I know these other guys have went and got 4-star this and some of these big time quarterbacks that they're bringing in to come in and contribute. They haven't played in our conference yet. So in terms of returning quarterbacks, is there a better quarterback than Owen McCown right now returning based on the way he ended last season? What do you guys think? Because as I'm going through some of the notes, and I'll reference some of the notes in terms of like what projections are looking like, right? But I'm not even gonna like I'm not necessarily going to give Charlotte too much because they just have been a terrible program. I know they have a former 4-star recruit that they're coming in with. I'm just trying to think. I'm looking at some of the stuff. Obviously, you got Memphis who's reloading at quarterback. They got 2 really good guys that they're gonna come in and probably be really really good. Obviously, I think North Texas has also got some guys in their quarterback room who is probably going to come in and be really, really good. But like I said, they're ushering in new quarterbacks. Like they're going to go through what we went through with Owen McCown this year, ushering in a new guy after a long-standing guy is no longer there. I'm just looking at the list and all these guys. I'm looking at this list and I'm like, bro, they are. This could be a really good opportunity for UTSA. I'll just say that. Like, I don't want to jump the gun too hard, but like, we could be in a really, really interesting position coming into the season from a conference standpoint because there are going to be growing pains that these schools are going to have ushering in some of these new quarterbacks, and we're not going to have that going into next season. I'd also posted a tweet about, over the past 3 years, we are third in wins across the conference, followed behind Tulane and Memphis. Both schools are trying to usher in new quarterbacks next year. We beat Memphis last season, and I didn't think that they were all that in the bag of chips. To be completely honest, I'm looking at I'm looking at next season in 2025, and if there's a dark horse in the conference right now, I think it's going to be UTSA coming into the year. I'd be curious to hear you guys' thoughts on that. Is that my bias speaking? Am I talking outside of myself? But the quarterback position weighs so freaking heavy in the success and the failure of a team. And when you look at UTSA coming into next season with a junior redshirt quarterback who now has some experience under his belt in this system, in this program, and started to really put it together nicely in that back half of the season, that's going to be a problem for teams next year, I think. And we hadn't put our stamp on the AAC the way I think we've liked and the way we put our stamp on the Conference USA. But man, I'm telling you, it might be third time's a charm, guys. I'm expecting, we'll see. Hopefully everyone stays healthy, but I'm thinking that UTSA has a real shot to be a contender in the conference, man. I really believe that a lot of folks are not necessarily counting UTSA out, but like not really pushing for us to be like a major legit contender. But I'm sorry, bro. I think we will be. I think we will be. And I don't think that's not me speaking with orange tinted glasses here. I really think we can be on to something if we start the season well next year. Batfoy says this wide receiver room hype is giving me flashbacks to us thinking that we had the best CB room last year. Listen, yeah, the best CB room. So I didn't go into that hype because obviously I played CB at the thing, and it's not that I didn't think the players we brought in were great, but dude, like cornerback is very different because it is very difficult to like. I guarantee you'll see less and less big time corners. I mean, I don't know. You never know because corners are also super crazy, cocky, and they're gonna want money and talk their noise. But I actually think for corners, man, whenever you find a system and a team that is playing your style of football, you don't leave that. You shouldn't leave that. So the cornerback room was a little different for me because I'm like, we got a lot of these new guys coming in, but how are they going to fit into the system? There's a learning curve always at that position, which is not it, the contrast is a lot different over on the wide receiver side where like, wide receivers can fit into systems a little better, I think, because an air raid is an air raid. If there's a team that throws a lot, like you're going to find a way to get an athlete the ball, period. And, if you got a capable quarterback, like, yeah, you're going to find a way to do that. UTSA has always produced pretty well through the air. So I think those receivers are going to have a lot more opportunities to actually live up to that hype than like corners would. So yeah, I'm not going to go like super crazy on it, but I do think our receiver room is insane right now. Let's see. This is Browntown just saying he's bad. He deleted the first comment and sent the second one, but the first one didn't delete on the screen. Yep. Batfoy says Jimmy got hurt and sat the rest of the season. He graduated from Stanford, so I'm under the assumption he had 1 year left. I don't think he had 1 year left, honestly. I think he had more than that. I think he just graduated early. I don't know that for certain, though. Let me see if I can find it. Let's see if I can find it somewhere. Yeah, he was a red shirt sophomore. Yeah. So I mean, it'd be great if he got a medical red shirt, but yeah, he's gonna be with us for a while. He was a red shirt. I think He was a redshirt sophomore last year, or maybe this year, one of the two. But yeah, he's got at least 2 years with us. U of H is a better rival than Texas State. In fact, the only reason we are playing Texas State now is because U of H got to back out of their contract with us moving to the Big 12. U of H, the only rival the city cares about. I like that. I mean, listen, I don't like that. Like the city cares about Texas State. That much is very clear. Like, I mean, you can just look on Twitter for 5 minutes and see that, like, there is Texas State banter every day. And I don't even engage with any of it. It's every day on my Twitter. Texas State and UTSA fans are going at it. So, yeah, I mean, I did like the playing U of H. I think we got to find a way to get that back on the calendar, man. That's a big deal. That's a big deal. If we can get, especially right now, they're not doing well. It'd be great to go up and beat up on them boys, 100%. I do agree with this next piece here. UTSA's brand is hurt by associating with UNT, Rice, Texas State. I don't disagree there. We need to be punching up instead of punching down, I think. I mean, to be fair, Texas State punched down on us pretty badly last year, to be fair. But yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm with you. It's one of those things, and I'll pose this question too, and I think I asked this a couple of weeks as well. I would love to know from sort of the administrators, front office, AD, or whatever, if you had a roadmap for UTSA over the next 5 to 10 years, from an athletic standpoint, with UTSA football leading the forefront, where would you like to see UTSA in 10 years? Is that UTSA just being a dominant force in the AAC? Or does that mean, hey, you know what? Maybe for the next 5 years, we try to establish ourselves as a dominant force in the AAC, maybe 5 to 7 years, and then maybe years 7 through 10, let's try to punch up and potentially put ourselves in a bigger, maybe the Big 12 or something is in our sights at some point. Like, what's the plan there? Because you look at teams like Rice and like UNT, like these teams, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to speak for them too much, but a lot of these teams have been, sort of mediocre forever. And it doesn't seem like they're pushing to, I mean, I don't know. UNT is trying to do some stuff, but like I don't think they're consistent enough as an athletics program to do it. But like, yeah, I would just like to know, like, what's the roadmap for UTSA, and if everything worked out perfectly, what would that look like for the people who are actually the shot callers? That's where my mind goes sometimes. Browntown says Houston and Texas Tech will be great opponents. I agree. Texas Tech will be a good one as well. Horvath is the only notable name, to be honest. Then it's Owen, but honestly, it's a toss-up between them two on who's the best. Yeah, I don't disagree. I don't disagree with you at all there. I think, and that's sort of my point, right? I think coming into the year, arguably, we have the quarterback with the most probably upside. Upside is tricky because you got to forecast some of these big-time recruits, and if they get the starting job, what that's going to mean for these teams. But I just feel good about us coming into the season with our quarterback situation versus the vast majority of the other teams with their quarterback situations coming into the year. Batfoy says, does anyone know how or if Project Marvel will benefit UTSA? I know the news proposed Spurs Arena will be built on UTSA-owned building downtown. I'm sure it will in some way, shape, or form. I don't know. I'd be curious for someone who has went deep into the Project Marvel thing just to see. But to me, I would say it has to. I would assume, right? Like it would have to. I think more notoriety, better facilities, and things like that that's going to attract people to being even in that area, being on a UTSA campus, so on and so forth. I think it could only help. Batfoy says, for those that don't know, Project Marvel is a proposed, build a district downtown of some sort. Yep. Israel says buy the same for UTSA accounts. Easy money though, since it's one-sided beef. They will travel. But then again, if we bring a P4 team to play in SA, that would fix the need of depending team fans to travel. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. But that's just it's a tall order, man. It's a tall order. A lot of those type teams like to bring us to their home and try to do their thing there. Okay, it looks like I'm at the end of the questions. If you have any more, if you guys have any more questions, get them in now. I'm going to do one more plug to that tweet that I posted. Like I said, we got a few more people in the tweet that I posted earlier. I'm going to do a donation to one of the UTSA DBs. Like I said, I'm going to work with the coaches to figure out who, or not work with the coaches because I don't even know if they would answer a message if I send them one. But yeah, I'm going to try to set. I'm going to try to set that situation up in some way, shape, or form. But all you have to do is go follow my Twitter account and tell a friend to follow my Twitter account. The goal is to get to 3,000 followers in a short amount of time. But wherever we land is what I'll donate. Coming from 1780. So if you guys could do that, that would be great. And even if you already follow me, just retweet that tweet so other people who support the program and support UTSA can see it. And then, yeah, we go from there, man. We go from there. But, yes, thank you guys for showing up today. I guess I'll wrap there. If I did not get to one of your questions or you got something else, shoot me a DM at – let me get my name banner back up here so you guys can see my Twitter. But, yeah, at Darian_UTSA, shoot me a message, DM, shoot me a reply if there's anything else you want to discuss or talk about. And yeah, any suggestions on anything, always let me know. I am doing all this stuff for my school and you guys. So yeah, I will catch you guys next week. And yeah, peace. I holla.